Fatima's heart raced as she spotted Jubril lying amidst the chaos. She rushed to his side, her hands trembling as she checked for signs of injury. Relief flooded her when she found him breathing, albeit unconscious. "Jubril, wake up," she whispered. Fatima's Sorrow, Episode 6, The Power of Resilience. As Fatima immersed herself in her studies, she discovered a newfound sense of purpose and fulfillment, her passion for learning a testament to the power of resilience in the face of adversity. With each passing day she grew stronger, her spirit unbreakable in the face of life's many trials and tribulations. Fatima's journey through her education was not just a pursuit of knowledge, it was a battle against tradition, societal expectations, and the ever-looming threat of hereditary illness. Despite her initial doubts and the disapproval of her family, she found solace in her studies and the unwavering support of her husband Jubril. As she delved deeper into her academic pursuits, Fatima unearthed hidden talents and passions she never knew she possessed. Her intelligence and determination earned her recognition among her peers and mentors. Yet with each accolade she received, the weight of her responsibilities grew heavier. One day, Fatima settled into her seat. Her eyes wandered to the front of the classroom, where a stern-looking man stood, his arms crossed and his gaze piercing. This was Mr. Aliko, the formidable psychology lecturer whose reputation preceded him. Rumor had it that he could reduce even the brightest students to tears with a single glance. But Fatima was undaunted. She had faced adversity before, and she would not let fear hold her back now. She squared her shoulders and prepared to meet the challenge head-on. The days turned into weeks, and Fatima threw herself into her studies with a fervor bordering on obsession. She devoured every lesson, every assignment, every opportunity to learn, determined to prove herself worthy of the chance she had been given. Her hard work did not go unnoticed. Mr. Aliko, initially skeptical of this determined young woman, soon found himself impressed by Fatima's tenacity and intelligence. He took her under his wing, offering guidance and encouragement that fueled Fatima's passion even further. Meanwhile, tensions within Fatima's family continued to simmer beneath the surface. Malam Bada and Hajia Bintu, staunch traditionalists, could not comprehend Fatima's desire to pursue higher education. Their disapproval only deepened when they learned of her reluctance to start a family immediately after marriage. Mrs. Dajuma, Fatima's mother-in-law, added fuel to the fire with her constant reminders of the importance of a woman's role in the household. She questioned Fatima's priorities, subtly hinting that she was neglecting her duties as a wife by prioritizing her studies. While Jubril juggled his own responsibilities with ease, balancing work and household duties with his unwavering support for Fatima's dreams. He was her rock, her confidant, her biggest cheerleader, and she thanked the stars every day for bringing him into her life. But amidst the newfound sense of purpose and the excitement of academic achievement, a shadow loomed on the horizon. Rumblings of unrest spread through the community like wildfire. The whispers began like a gentle breeze, barely audible but growing steadily in strength as they swept through the tightly knit community. Fatima's decision to pursue education wasn't just a deviation from the norm. It was a seismic shift challenging the very foundations of tradition. For generations, women in their community had been relegated to domestic roles, their aspirations confined within the walls of their homes. Fatima's bold step threatened to unravel this carefully woven fabric of societal expectations. As the murmurs intensified, so did the divisions within the community. Some saw Fatima's pursuit of education as a beacon of hope, a symbol of progress and equality. They rallied behind her, offering support and encouragement in the face of mounting opposition. But for others, her actions were nothing short of rebellion, a dangerous deviation from the established order that needed to be quelled before it spread like wildfire. Amongst the dissenters was a group led by the influential elder Hassan, whose conservative beliefs clashed violently with Fatima's aspirations. He saw her defiance as a direct challenge to his authority, a threat to the status quo that he had worked so hard to maintain. Determined to uphold tradition at any cost, Hassan began orchestrating a campaign to undermine Fatima's efforts, spreading rumors and misinformation to tarnish her reputation. At first, Fatima paid little attention to the rumors, too consumed by her studies to spare them more than a passing thought. But as the whispers grew, louder and more insistent, she could no longer ignore the sense of unease that settled in the pit of her stomach. Meanwhile, the elders of the community convened in hushed whispers, their concern mounting with each passing day. Fatima's defiance threatened to unravel the carefully woven fabric of their society, exposing cracks in the foundation that they had worked so hard to maintain. They knew they had to act, to quell the uprising before it spread like wildfire and consumed everything in its path. Fatima felt the weight of the community's disapproval pressing down on her shoulders like a suffocating blanket. Every step she took towards her education seemed to stir up more hostility, like ripples spreading across a once calm pond, but she refused to let fear dictate her path. With each lecture, each assignment completed, she felt a sense of empowerment growing within her, a determination to prove that she was more than just a pawn in their traditional game. Jubril stood by her side, his unwavering support a beacon of strength amidst the storm. Yet, even he couldn't shield her from the whispers and glares that followed her every move. As tensions escalated, Fatima found herself caught in a web of conflicting emotions. She yearned for acceptance, for the warmth of community that she had always known, yet she couldn't bring herself to sacrifice her dreams at the altar of tradition. Rumors began to circulate, whispers of plots and schemes designed to bring Fatima to heel. Yet, despite their best efforts, she remained steadfast in her pursuit of knowledge, her determination unshakable. But as the pressure mounted, cracks began to appear in her resolve. Doubt crept in like a thief in the night, stealing away her confidence and leaving her vulnerable to the doubts that had always lingered at the edge of her consciousness. It was in those moments of weakness that Jubril's strength shone brightest. With gentle words and unwavering support, he reminded her of the dreams they had shared, of the future they had dared to imagine together. And slowly but surely, Fatima found the courage to stand tall once more, to face the challenges that lay ahead with renewed determination. But unknown to them, forces far beyond their control were at play, shadows lurking in the darkness, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And as Fatima and Jubril navigated the treacherous waters of tradition and defiance, they soon found themselves drawn into a web of deceit and betrayal that threatened to tear them apart. As the days turned into weeks and the tension in the community reached a fever pitch, Fatima and Jubril found themselves increasingly isolated, their every move scrutinized by suspicious eyes. Yet they refused to back down, clinging to each other like beacons of hope in the darkness that threatened to engulf them. But just when it seemed like they might weather the storm, a shadow fell across their path, casting doubt on everything they held dear. It started with subtle whispers, vague accusations muttered in dark corners and exchanged in hurried glances. Then came the threats, thinly veiled warnings delivered with a venomous edge that sent shivers down Fatima's spine. At first she tried to brush them off, to convince herself that they were nothing more than idle gossip. But as the threats escalated and the danger grew ever closer, she couldn't ignore the sinking feeling in the pit of her stomach. Someone was watching them, someone with a vendetta against everything they represented. As the days passed, Fatima and Jubril found themselves walking a tightrope between their dreams and the expectations of their community. But beneath the surface calm, a storm was brewing, unseen and unfathomable. One evening as Fatima returned from her studies, she found her home in disarray. Papers scattered across the floor, furniture overturned. A sense of violation hung heavy in the air. Panic clenched at her chest as she rushed through the wreckage, searching for any sign of Jubril. Fatima's heart raced as she approached Jubril's still form. She knelt beside him, her hands trembling as she checked for signs of life. Relief flooded through her when she felt a faint pulse beneath her fingers. Fatima's heart raced as she spotted Jubril lying amidst the chaos. She rushed to his side, her hands trembling as she checked for signs of injury. Relief flooded her when she found him breathing, albeit unconscious. "Jubril, wake up," she whispered, shaking him gently. Slowly his eyelids fluttered and he groaned, his hand moving to his head. What happened?" Jubril mumbled, his voice hoarse. "I don't know," Fatima replied, her voice trembling with fear. "I came home and found a place like this. Are you hurt?" Jubril winced as he tried to sit up, his hand instinctively going to the back of his head. I don't think so, he said, his words slurred. I must have been knocked out. And with that last word, he passed out into unconsciousness. Jubril! Jubril! Fear gripped her heart as she called out his name frantically with tears rolling down her cheek. She quickly reached for her phone. With trembling hands, she dialed the emergency number. As she sat by Jubril's, grappling with the possibility of losing the love of her life, Fatima's faith was put to the ultimate test. In those dark moments of despair, she found herself questioning everything she once held dear. Had her pursuit of education been worth it? Had she neglected her responsibilities as a wife in her quest for personal fulfillment? The ambulance arrived promptly and took Jubril away to the hospital still unconscious. Fatima stood in the sterile hallway of the hospital, the harsh fluorescent lights casting long shadows across her anxious face. She clutched her phone tightly, the weight of her family's disappointment heavy in her heart. Her husband Jubril lay unconscious in a room down the corridor, his fate uncertain after the brutal attack that had shattered their once peaceful life. As she waited for her parents to arrive, Fatima's mind raced with thoughts of what had led them to this moment. She had always been a dreamer, a girl with aspirations that stretched far beyond the confines of her small community. But in the eyes of her conservative parents, her dreams were nothing more than foolishness, a distraction from her duties as a wife. She has always desired to attend university, to pursue a degree and carve out a future for herself beyond the traditional role expected of her. Instead, she had married Jubril, a kind-hearted man chosen for her by her parents, and settled into the life of a dutiful wife. Yet now, as she stood in the hospital facing the consequences of her choices, Fatima couldn't help but wonder if she had made a mistake. If only she had stayed home, fulfilled her duties as a wife, perhaps none of this would have happened. Guilt gnawed at her conscience, threatening to consume her whole. Finally, the sound of hurried footsteps echoed down the hallway, and Fatima looked up to see her parents approaching, their expressions a mixture of concern and disapproval. Malam Beda, her father, was a stern man with a commanding presence, his bushy eyebrows drawn together in a deep frown. Beside him, her mother, Hajia Bintu, was a stoic figure, her hijab wrapped tightly around her face, concealing her emotions from prying eyes. Fatima, Malam Bada greeted her, his voice cold and clipped. What has happened to Jubril? Why are we here? Fatima took a deep breath, steeling herself for the inevitable confrontation. There's been an attack, father, she explained, her voice trembling slightly. Jubril was assaulted in our home. I found him unconscious when I returned from class. Her parents exchanged a glance, their expressions hardening with each passing moment. And why were you not at home attending to your duties as a wife? Her mother demanded, her tone accusatory. Fatima lowered her gaze, feeling the weight of their judgment bearing down on her. I had class, she admitted quietly. I'm still studying at the university. Her parents' reactions were immediate and visceral, their disapproval palpable in the air between them. University, Malam Bada exclaimed, his voice rising in anger. You dare to pursue your education while your husband lies in a hospital bed, fighting for his life? Fatima flinched at the accusation, her heart sinking with shame. I didn't mean for any of this to happen, she protested weakly. I wanted to make something of myself, to have a future beyond... Beyond what? Her father interrupted, his voice a thunderous boom that echoed through the empty corridor. Beyond your responsibilities as a wife, beyond your duty to your family. Tears welled in Fatima's eyes as she struggled to find the words to defend herself. She had always known that her decision to pursue education would be met with resistance from her conservative parents, but she had never imagined that it would lead to such dire consequences. Before she could respond, another voice spoke up from behind her, drawing her attention away from her parents. Excuse me, are you Fatima Danjuma? Fatima turned to see a nurse standing in the doorway of Jubril's room, a look of concern etched on her face. Yes, I am, Fatima replied, her heart pounding in her chest. How is he? Is he going to be all right? The nurse hesitated for a moment, her expression unreadable. He's stable for now, she said finally, her voice soft, but he sustained some serious injuries. It's too early to say how he'll recover. Fatima felt a surge of relief flood through her at the news, mingled with a sense of dread at the thought of what lay ahead. Jubril's road to recovery would be long and difficult, and she knew that she would need all the support she could get to help him through it. As Fatima stood in the sterile hospital corridor, the weight of her parents' accusations pressed heavily upon her. Tears welled in her eyes, blurring her vision as she tried to make sense of their harsh words. She knew they didn't understand, couldn't understand, the burning passion that drove her to pursue her education despite the expectations placed upon her as a wife. But amidst the turmoil of her emotions, there was a fierce determination burning within her. She refused to let their words break her spirit. She had fought too hard, sacrificed too much to abandon her dreams now. Turning back to her parents, Fatima squared her shoulders, steeling herself for the battle that lay ahead. She may have made mistakes, she may have strayed from the path laid out for her, but she refused to let her dreams die in the face of adversity. "I will do whatever it takes to help Jubril recover," she declared, her voice steady despite the turmoil raging inside her. "But I won't apologize for following my dreams. I won't apologize for wanting more out of life than what was expected of me." Her parents exchanged a glance, their expressions softening slightly as they took in the determination in her eyes. For a moment it seemed as though they might relent, might finally understand the depth of her convictions. But then, just as quickly as it had appeared, the moment passed, replaced once again by the weight of their disapproval. "We will discuss this later," Malambada said tersely, his voice brooking no argument. "For now, our focus must be on Jubril's recovery." With a curt nod, Fatima followed her parents into Jubril's room, steeling herself for the challenges that lay ahead. She may not have chosen the path that had led her here, may not have anticipated the obstacles she would face along the way, but she refused to let them define her future. As she stood by Jubril's bedside watching over him as he slept, Fatima made a silent vow to herself. She would fight for her dreams, she would overcome whatever obstacles stood in her way, and she would emerge stronger on the other side. For Fatima was a woman of determination and resilience, a woman who refused to be bound by the expectations of others, and no matter what the future held, she would face it head-on, with courage and conviction, knowing that she was capable of achieving anything she set her mind to. The days turned into weeks, and still, Jubril showed no signs of improvement. Fatima's hope began to wane, and she found herself teetering on the edge of despair. Yet even in her darkest hour, a glimmer of hope remained. Through the support of friends and family, Fatima found the strength to carry on. She poured herself into caring for Jubril, refusing to give up on him despite the odds stacked against them. Her unwavering dedication and resilience inspired those around her, transforming her into a beacon of hope in their time of need. As the weeks stretched into months, Jubril finally showed signs of improvement. Against all odds, he emerged from his coma, his recovery nothing short of miraculous. The news spread like wildfire, restoring hope to all who had prayed for his recovery. Fatima stood by Jubril's bedside, her eyes shimmering with tears of joy as she watched him stir from his prolonged slumber. The doctors had been baffled by his sudden improvement, unable to explain the miraculous turnaround. But for Fatima, it was a moment of pure faith realized. As Jubril slowly regained consciousness, Fatima felt a surge of relief flood through her. She had spent countless hours by his side, praying fervently for his recovery, never once losing hope. And now, as she witnessed him slowly coming back to life, she knew that her prayers had been answered. But as the days passed and Jubril's strength returned, Fatima found herself faced with a difficult decision. With Jubril on the road to recovery, she had to decide whether to continue her education or to stay by his side and help him through his rehabilitation. Despite the overwhelming temptation to remain by Jubril's side, Fatima knew that she couldn't put her dreams on hold indefinitely. She had worked tirelessly to pursue her education, overcoming numerous obstacles along the way. And while Jubril's recovery was undoubtedly a cause for celebration, Fatima couldn't ignore the burning desire within her to fulfill her own ambitions. With a heavy heart, Fatima made the difficult decision to continue her education, knowing that she couldn't let her dreams slip away. But just as she was preparing to leave, fate intervened in the most unexpected way. For Fatima, Jubril's miraculous recovery was a testament to the power of faith and perseverance. It reaffirmed her belief that no obstacle was insurmountable as long as one remained steadfast in their resolve. With Jubril by her side once more, Fatima's sense of purpose was reignited. Together, they faced the challenges that lay ahead with renewed determination, knowing that their love and resilience would carry them through whatever trials they may face. And so, their journey continued, fraught with danger and uncertainty, yet filled with hope and love. For Fatima and Jubril, the road ahead would be anything but easy, but as long as they had each other, they knew they could overcome anything that stood in their way. The story continues. Watch out for episode 7. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, share, comment, and press notification button for more captivating and interesting stories. See you in the next episode.